Question comes from Julie Cornell.
Well, we've touched on this. Please give us some details. We've seen the ads throwing around allegations about where you both stand on abortion. So right now, what is your exact stance on when it is acceptable for a woman to have an abortion? And how has your voting record and any proposed legislation supported that stance?
Congressman Bacon, a minute and a half.
So I'm going to support the Nebraska law. The Nebraska law has restrictions on abortion at 3 months. By the way, when I talk to a lot of folks, I was doing door-to-door a couple times this week, people say, Don, I'm pro-choice, but 3 months is right because there's the science behind it. Tony talks about being a science teacher for 2 years. Most people see the science of a heartbeat, 2 arms, 2 legs, and they say at some point, they just know it's not right, particularly for a healthy mom and a healthy baby. So I'm going to support the Nebraska law, 3-month restriction, and it's going to have the exceptions for health of the mother. So if any health issues pop up, doctors have every right to work with the mother and do whatever's right for that mom. But also for rape and incest as well. I think the unicameral, without Tony's help, I think they came up with a good balance, a consensus where most Nebraskans are at. So Julie, I'm going to be supporting this legislation. I'm going to vote for it. And I got to point out, in contrast, where my opponent is at, he's been asked dozens and dozens of times, what restrictions would he take? Is it 9 months, 8 months, 7 months? He's never able to give a restriction for a healthy mom and a healthy baby. In fact, he is clearly an abortion on demand until birth. And if you look at the world, most countries are going to where Nebraska's at. Most European countries are 3 or 4 months right now. Only 7 countries in the world share the radical views of Tony Vargas when it comes to 0 restrictions, even for a baby a day before birth.
Congressman, thank you. Senator?
Thank you. Look, I was a former public school science teacher. I trained STEM teacher trainers, and I worked in education for years. This is a very personal issue because I have a 5-year-old daughter. And when the decision got overturned, it was incredibly hard for my family. First time that I saw my daughter and realized that she had fewer rights than my wife. But I realized it wasn't just my daughter. This was every single woman across the state of Nebraska, across this country. We're trying to figure out how to navigate this. I believe in restoring Roe v. Wade. That is what I'm going to do when I'm in Congress. But I also need to make sure that I fight back against individuals like Congressman Bacon, who's not a physician, who's not a woman, and believes he can tell people like my daughter what she can and cannot do with her body. And he is very much hiding and changing his position on this. Otherwise, why would he have co-sponsored a full abortion ban in the Constitution 3 different times? He was the original co-sponsor of the Life at Conception Act. Google it. Now, when you see it, you're gonna not only see coverage of news that this is a full abortion ban with no exceptions for the life of the mother, for rape or incest. He's even voted against protecting contraception access. And even right now, he is going to do everything he possibly can when he has the opportunity to tell women what they can and cannot do with their bodies.
Senator, thank you. Congressman, you have 45 seconds.
More phony Tony, particularly on the contraception. That's just total baloney right there. I want to remind people, a lot of women are also pro-life. My wife is, the mayor of Omaha, our senator is. So there are many women who are leaders in the pro-life movement, and we should make that clear. And I've been working with pro-life causes my whole life. I was a Christian. I believe we're made by God, that we're special, we're made in His image. So I've worked in foster care. I've helped young mothers get started. My wife has been a leader on this, and I'm so grateful to her. But I gotta ask Tony, you're a science teacher, you've taught for 2 years at science. When does a baby have any rights? Does an 8-month-old baby, unborn baby have rights? Does a 9-month unborn baby have rights? Especially with a healthy mom and a healthy baby. At some point, most people in the world have said they do. And most of the world's coming to where we're at, where our policies of Nebraska.
Congressman, thank you. Senator, you have 45 seconds.
When Congressman Bacon co-sponsored a full abortion ban in the Constitution, he is desperately trying to hide his position on this. In his world, there's no exceptions whatsoever for the life of the mother for rape or incest. You may hear him say that he believes that now, but the truth is his co-sponsorship 3 different times of this tells the real story of how extreme he is. We can't believe him when it's his own name on these bills. It's his own name that he put on it 3 different times. And it's no surprise that the same authors of Project 2025, which he said he's not going to read, but they're same donors of his. In this document, a full abortion ban in the Constitution is part of their main priorities. And we have to stop Don Bacon and other Republicans in Congress from enacting this.
Senator, thank you.